All right, on the way to the shop to talk about the plan a little bit for how to organize and deal with vendors. And of course, we're talking about the 1938 Zephyr project, 38 Coupe V-12. It's an amazing car. It will be an amazing car when all these parts and pieces get reconditioned and put together. And I appreciate you coming along. I hope you enjoy it. All right, so we've got some blasting going on for the plated material.
Right.
What happens to the rest of this car as far as preparation? Obviously, we've replaced a bunch of metal pieces.
Well, we
What's
still
next?
have, we still need to break it down a bit because we don't want any hidden surfaces that don't get blasted and don't get primered. So he's still in the process of tearing the car apart, and then we're going to build a job box with the name of the car on it, and then that box will contain all of the pieces and parts that come off the car. So when we want to go find pieces and parts for this particular automobile, it'll have its own job box. And so if I want to go get all the plating, all the bumpers should be there. When they prepare something, they have to take it over to the job box and get it in there regardless of its condition, regardless of where it is in the process, so that if I walk out here and I want the fender braces, or I might go get those powder coated.
Right.
And there'll be some of that.
So you always know where you can find all the pieces.
Exactly, because if you start putting stuff in the car and over to the left and to the right and down the street, and you know, you're going to spend all your time looking for them.
Yeah.
And we did that in the early years, and I decided that was a waste of our time.
Yeah.
So
very good.
a lot of the suspension will be cleaned up and restored. The back rear end and the rear axle, all that's going to go away.
Okay.
So we won't spend a lot of time cleaning that up. We'll mark it.
So will the entire whole body be blasted?
Yeah. Well, and we just used the. I just got a couple of the tires filled. I just put tubes in them, just so they would roll around.
It's rolling now. Yep.
And I'm not concerned about overspray or sandblasting, because these are just wheels that we use for push
these
cars
are
around.
just roller wheels and tires.
Exactly.
As long as they hold air.
Exactly. And if you go to a swap meet, you can usually buy these for as little as 10 or 15 bucks.
Okay. So once you got the time-sensitive stuff, the plating things and so on.
Yeah, we just talked to the plater this afternoon, and we got a really good delivery on some of the stuff. I explained to him that some of it was really critical and some of it just wasn't. You want to be careful about crying wolf all the time about times. There are people out there that will tell his plater or tell the powder coater.
It's always an emergency, right?
Yeah, you know what? You know what an emergency is? It means that you haven't done any planning. And pretty soon they see through it. They get tired of you always being in emergency mode.
Right.
And they stop believing you. And that's your credibility is everything. Your reputation with your vendors, your platers, your trimmers, all the guys that help you is absolutely essential.
Yeah, you've got a track record, so when you really have an emergency, you can tell them.
I called the plater
and they can
last
step
week,
it up
and I
for
said,
you.
I need 2 Packard wheels done in 4 days.
Wow.
And he said, I'm at right at 6 weeks.
Ah.
4 days later, they're in the mail.
Wow.
That's not, because I don't cry wolf all the time.
Right.
I'm going to send him the bumpers and the bumperettes and the hood ornament. And if he gets it back to me in 6 weeks or 8 weeks, I'm good.
It'll be fine. Yeah.
But I got to do the planning.
Right.
And planning is not finding out that you need it tomorrow and then whining and crying to all your vendors, because they get tired of it. They realize that you don't do any planning.
Right.
The other guys are planning because they're not calling him and making him crazy about where's my stuff.
Right.
So to build up that respect between the two people and the two parties, you have to be honest.
Right.
But you got to do some forethought, and you got to consider their situation as well.
Sure. Very good. Well, this thing's moving right along.
Yep. We just stripped out the doors.
Right.
The doors, again,
all the hardware's off of it.
Yeah, as we talked about before, these are coupe door only.
Right.
So it's particularly important to make sure that all the hardware that comes out of these doors is kept in one place. So we're going to build a box. We're going to put it in the box.
Yep.
Everything is going to be removed, restored, and replaced. But if we don't remember where it goes, or we lose some of the the bolts that are used, and a lot of them are specialty bolts.
Right, sure. Something just as innocuous as a nut or a
Oh my
bolt
God,
or a
it'll drive you out of
washer
your mind
can be a
because-
big deal.
Because they're all specially made. Look at some of the bolts that are used. Now, if you leave that in a pile and that pile gets thrown away,
Right.
you got a problem.
Yeah, how do you replace that?
You can't.
Right. And
You're gonna have to go take another car apart to get it out of it.
God.
Now, you know, we got parts cars, we can do that.
Yeah.
But we haven't really done the car any favors.
No, that's right.
And we certainly haven't done the customer any favor by spending 2 hours looking for something we should have kept in the first place.
That's right. Okay.
That shouldn't be his problem.
Yeah.
So, you know, these are things you learn over the years as you do it, and you do it incorrectly, and then you get a little better at it. But
Okay. Well, and I'm sure even for the home hobbyist who's working on a project at home, keeping things labeled and organized
yeah,
is
absolutely.
just going to be a big deal.
I think the most intelligent thing I've ever seen is one restorer took three 3x8 folding tables.
Okay.
And he put them end to end, and we may very well do that in this case. And what he did was, this is brilliant. He took everything that would fit on that table and put it on that table. In groups,
Okay.
labeled. Some of it doesn't require labeling, of course, but what magically you realize you only have 3 good door handles, or you only have 2 bumperettes, or you have 1 wrong bumperette.
Yeah, because you can actually see them together.
Exactly, because you see them on the table.
Right.
And your brain starts putting that information together.
Yep.
And now has much better information. And you take that information and you say, oh, I'm missing a fill in the blank.
Yep.
Because it's not on the table.
Yeah. Right.
If it's in a bucket or in the car, it's not going to happen the same way. I mean, it was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
In fact, I was real young at the time, and I walked up to him and I said, what is this all about? He said, that's the whole car on the table.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That took up very little space.
Yeah.
A tremendous organizing tool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very
you
good.
don't need paper and computers if you organize the work
Yeah.
correctly. One of the difficulties with rare cars or low production cars is making the determination between what the factory screwed up and what time screwed up.
Okay.
Because they can look exactly alike. And here's a perfect example.
Okay.
If you look at this right here, this gob job weld that we've got here,
Right.
looks like something a pelican did after dinner, is obviously wrong, but for the possibility that because these doors are so rare,
Yep.
that may be the way that they were actually put together. Remember, they had no economies.
Right.
They had to take 4-door stuff and cut it up and
Okay.
paste it back together.
Sure.
So it's not always the case. If you notice, on this other door, there is no such weld. So
Right.
so there's our evidence that one
Yeah,
is
this
actually
shows you,
wrong, and that one
and that's what the factory did because
that's
it's
what the factory
consistent.
did. So this was a stamp piece. It was not gob job together out of a 4-door or something.
Right.
If you think about it, of course, it couldn't be because it was longer, not
Right.
shorter.
That's
now,
right.
if you go the other way, if you do a 4-door convertible,
Yeah.
now you're chopping the doors down, and you got to do it with a limited amount of material.
Right.
And so you're going to take 4-door stuff and you're going to chop it down.
Gotcha.
That's not the case here because they didn't have that. If you notice too, these runners that the glass runs in, okay?
Yeah.
This is a really good example. Now right down here, somebody has gorillaed this thing, and that clearly is not correct.
Gotcha.
But the other
Yeah,
idea
you can
here
see how
is
that's pinched there.
if we had not done
On
so
the
many
other
of
side.
these, we probably would be taking a lot of photographs at this point because you can't believe how bad your memory is when
Right.
you're trying to put something back together.
Well, and it's been a few months or
Well,
something.
exactly. I mean, is this the right hand? Is this the left hand?
Yeah.
They look exactly alike when they're laying in a box.
Right.
So things like that, and everything that comes off is labeled with a black marker, front 38 Zephyr,
Gotcha.
and where it came.
Okay.
We have an inventory cabinet up there that inventories all the 54 and 53 Skylark stuff. 54 stuff's on one side, 53 is on the other. Each part and each piece of chrome is labeled as to where it goes on the car and which car it goes on. 'Cause
Right.
even between those 2 cars, how much time do you want to spend trying to figure it out?
Right. Every
None.
time you don't know what you're holding
Well, yeah,
is
you're
time.
just wasting time.
Yeah.
Plus, you don't know what you have.
Right.
I
Right.
can't tell you how many times I've bought the same part 3 times. I mean, rare parts, and
Yeah,
for a
right.
lot of money, because I didn't know I had the
Whoops.
first 2. Okay.
Right.
It always
Okay.
ends well because I can sell them, right?
Right.
But you
yeah, at
feel-
least
you
you're buying
feel like-
something that's saleable.
Well, you feel like a fool because now you just bought 2 more.
Yeah. Well, this is it's fascinating to see how things were manufactured
Right.
in the day. That's just a lot
Yeah,
of
and the windows in these
engineering.
things work extremely well. There are a lot of cars when you roll up the window, it's just notchy and hard to do and a lot of
Yeah.
labor. But these windows go
So
up
the
and down.
gearing
just
in
beautiful.
here,
Now we have the
Really
patterns for
works.
this glass, so that'll be ordered
yeah,
and that'll be set aside.
excellent. I'm just looking at this. How many gears are involved in
You know,
this?
it's a complicated piece because in order for it to be smooth, you got to have all these gears, and they all have to be custom made. If you notice, it's got
Hang on,
4
I'm
or
sorry.
5 gears. Glass.
Yeah, like I was expecting 2 gears or
Right,
something,
Right.
and there's literally
But see,
5.
if you do that, it's too fast. They don't want it to be
So
too fast.
this
they
is
want it to be
reduction
slow.
gearing to some
Exactly,
extent.
and it's because this is a really nice car. If you saw this in a Ford, it'd be a lot simpler.
Gotcha.
Okay, this is a
Interesting.
Lincoln.
Yeah, this is a
is
Lincoln.
not a Ford,
So
okay?
that's maybe even a better shot of all the gears there.
Yeah. Mrs. McGillicuddy does not want to.
Yeah, they don't want to work
Arnold
at it.
Schwarzenegger to get the
That's
window
right.
up and down.
That's fascinating. Yeah, look at that.
And there's all kinds of those things built into this car.
Yeah,
You know, the rubber grommets, welding it to the frame, all the things that were done to stop noise, vibration.
yeah,
None of that stuff happened on other cars.
right,
You
right.
just lived with it.
That's cool.
So when Edsel was thinking this car through and giving his people the decisions about how things were to be made,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, he could have taken one out of Ford Coupe.
sure.
He said no.
Not
It's
going to do
good
that.
enough. Not good enough.
No,
Sorry.
That's really great.
We're not doing that.
Well, thank you. That's great.